Parents of Reddit, how do you feel when your kid brings back a girlfriend/boyfriend? How do you decide whether you like them or not? When they interact and help out the rest of the family. When my daughter didn't understand her homework and then her sister's boyfriend helped her, it showed how much he actually cared. Not a parent, so I called my mom. She stated, and I quote, "I like all of them until they give me reason not to. Then I never tell you whether I like them or not, so I don't influence your own judgment. I cannot choose for you, although sometimes I wish I could. Mrs. Unappreciated Son." It's about respect, if she treats him right, and compatibility. On the other end, not her dad, but my girlfriend's roommate is this old grizzled marine dude. She told me that he liked me because I didn't try to get him to like, which apparently most people do. I was just myself and acted naturally, which he appreciated. Just be yourself, and the people that will like you, and the people who won't. But always be respectful. My eldest is 15, and boys in high school can be gross. The way they speak to girls, and girls to boys, is just so far out of line it makes me ill. But her boyfriend is respectful to her and her family. Most importantly, they're the same brand of weird. They FaceTime 19 hours a day, I swear, but yesterday they had an entire conversation about penguins, both using the same weird fake Russian type accent. He's her safe place, and without very good cause. I'd never get in the way of that. Not a parent, but my parents have talked about my boyfriends. They liked most of them, but my dad said there was one he specifically didn't like right away. I dated that guy for over a year before he cheated on me with his ex and left me for her. My dad said he didn't like that guy because he reminded him of his ex-wife, who did the same thing to him. Here's my dad's take. He liked my ex-BF at first because he was initially polite and friendly, and I was very happy with him. However, my dad started to notice red flags later on and his opinion of him changed. For example, when we came back to my place from a day trip, he had sulked because I didn't show the enthusiasm he wanted about his favorite landmark. My dad told him that he should forgive me, but he still would not stop whining. My dad later told me that his reaction was blown out of proportion. Basically, my dad would decide whether or not to like any guy I bring home based on the way he treats me. Edit. I did not show zero interest in what my ex liked. I just wasn't as over the top excited as he wanted me to be. My husband and I always like the person, unless there's something terribly wrong with them. First of all, we want our kids to trust us and never to disregard our not liking a potential mate because we never like anyone. Secondly, we would never want our kids to feel like they have to choose. It's their mate, not ours. Thirdly, most young people are fairly okay, so no point in acting like no one can be good enough for our precious babies. I said, whatever you do to my daughter, I will do to you. I've been stuck giving him emotional support and validation for 3 years. That freaking idiot. I first met one of my kids' partners when they both joined us on a weekend away. We had a discussion on some general subject in which he disagreed with me. He defended his position rather than defer to me. When my oldest daughter introduced her first serious boyfriend, he was an awkward kind of guy, was pretty unremarkable, but he got super animated about topics that interested him. I had a chat with him about my daughter. He got animated. They've been married for 9 years. Good guy, works hard, is a staunch advocate for his wife, and I love his smile when he looks at their kids. My oldest son's first girlfriend was not an emotional investment. He was willing to make she was pretty, but that was it. I scolded him. He got defensive, almost married her, but she made the mistake of asking my son about my money. About a year later, he brought home a beautiful, talented woman with an electric personality and more self-confidence than even my cocksure eldest, and I was never more proud of him than when he took that dive. Their kids are incredible. Great couple. My second daughter just introduced us to a college friend of hers. He seems like a decent person. He's young, but he's got a head on his shoulders and seems able to conduct himself politely. I'll need more time to figure it out. My youngest son had a high school sweetheart girlfriend that's now his college girlfriend. When I first met her she was 9, so I'm pretty enamored with her. Her parents have babysit and house sat for us, and they're all good people. My youngest daughter has introduced me to a girlfriend from her trade school recently. Pretty sure she has been dating her for a couple years. She's angry, contrary, and bitter. Under all that baggage it's hard to tell, but I'm hoping that my home can be a place where she can just let whatever angers her so much disappear for a while and I can find out who she actually is. I've asked a good friend of my daughter's if there's ever been any signs of violence, as that's my only real concern, but so far it seems fine on that front. My youngest has always been a bit more subdued and contemplative than my others, so I'm hoping that whatever bitterness is in her girlfriend's life doesn't hurt her. This relationship is the most concerning one to me because my daughter is a very sensitive person and I fear for her happy cheerful spirit. It's about respect. If they are treating my kid, spouse or myself like crap in our own home, how do you think I'll feel? Some politeness goes a long way and of course it's a two-way street. Chances are you also know your kids well enough to notice if this person is a total 180 from their usual friends or previous or whatever. Sometimes a red flag but not always. You've likely had experience with them bringing over someone from the wrong crowd and this is honestly not that different. It's all about how you see them treat others, but since they are probably teenagers, you can't read too much into things like what they want to do when they grow up and so on. I'd hope by your 40s, or whatever you'd know enough about how to tell if someone's head is screwed on properly or not. It's still important to let them explore and learn the odd rough lesson on their own. You constantly weighing in on how much you disapprove of their so only drives them further to them. Although you don't want to be too late to interfere if things are getting a little too out of control, like that dad who killed his daughter's boyfriend for getting her into hard drugs and ruining her life. Don't let it get there. At the end of the day, no one can get them to break up except themselves. They have to learn what's best for them and figure it out on their own. Don't meddle too much. My mother has always been accepting of everyone I've ever dated, but realistic about their faults. My family immediately welcomes them with open arms, but just warns me if they seem off for whatever reason. I think it's a decent system. I don't have to like him. My daughter has to like him. Just like hairstyles. Doesn't matter if I like your hairstyle or not, you're the one who has to wear it. Now, if my daughter asks me advice, or asks my opinion, I'll be honest with her, even if it may hurt, because I care about her, and I only want to see her happy. But if I'm not asked, I will welcome the guy, be friendly and kind to him, and keep my opinions to myself. Why? Because she chose him, and if that makes her happy, then I'm happy. My daughter just started dating. She was mortified when I picked them up and asked if everything was guxy. I decided that I liked my future son-in-law when I learned that my university-age daughter had been slacking off. I phoned her and he picked up and tried to take the bullet for her, blaming himself for distracting her. I was so impressed with his altruism that I decided I liked him right then. 12 years later she's doing her PhD and they are still together. My mother-in-law assumed I was some sort of player when I first met her before my first date with my wife. Even told my wife that she assumed I went on lots of dates back at school. Jokes on her. I spent the entirety of my freshman year before I met my wife, enjoying the sweet internet speed of my dorm room and playing the crap out of Halo 3, Mass Effect 1 and 2, picking up drunk dorm mates from house parties at 3 AM, and going on exactly 0 dates. After years of getting to know my Mill, she just didn't want her daughter to get into a long distance relationship, then end up moving out of state with me if we got married, and I was still there, which ended up happening. Whoops. My stepdaughter's boyfriend came into my house and we were talking about computer games, and he had the audacity to tell me why Red Dead 2 was better than God of War in my house. But respect to the lad for that. He stuck to his principles and a year later still argues with me about gaming stuff. Not a mother, but I'm a sister to a lovely brother. He had brought some girls in house in his teenage years, and instantly I would know if I liked them or not. The first one he brought was super rude with me and my parents. She would eat alone in the bedroom when we are having dinner, force my brother to be mean to me, etc. Few months after the relationship ended in a really bad way. After that brought some girls, didn't talk so much with them, but they were nice and sweet, didn't last long, less than 2 months. The last one he brought, when I talked to her, just one thought came to mind, she's the one. 5 or 6 years later, here they are, living together. I feel excited for them. It's that wonderful time at the start of a new relationship and it's exciting to see them happy and enjoying this new experience. It's still quite new for me and them, so as a parent I'm still learning. I've been fine with all the people I've been introduced to so far, maybe as I know that the likelihood is these relationships won't last, so for me, it's not an issue if I don't take to them. Time will tell once their relationships become more serious. Well, my mother's decision is 90% based on if she's Catholic or not. Can't say I'm a fan of her method. Thanks for listening. Check out our playlists for the newest daily videos. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like.